Okay, thank you, Gary. Nice to have you here with us.
My pleasure.
And Gary, you just had your conference and you were talking about the mega trends.
Yes.
Can you tell us which are these mega trends in this moment for customer experience?
Sure. The biggest trend, the mega of the mega trends, is really digital transformation. And the reason that it's such a large trend is that it has such a widespread impact. Even though we're in the communications business, both unified communications and contact center, digital transformation goes well beyond that. And it has such an impact on contact center and unified communications, but companies see it as their next generation of company. And that's why we see it as such a big trend. Now, there's some interesting trends within digital transformation. For example, companies moving from thinking more about features and functions and thinking about use cases. That's a trend within digital transformation. Being able to do things like attribute-based routing versus skills-based routing. That's a trend within a trend. Having open platforms where communications has been very closed in the past, that's another trend. But all of these ultimately roll up to be part of the mega trend of digital transformation.
What would you be the key elements for this digital transformation?
So if we think about it in two ways, one is customer facing and the other is internally facing. The biggest impact is definitely going to be on the customer facing side. It will be important for both, but the customer facing is going to have the biggest impact. For example, omni-channel is a major part of the digital transformation. Having customers be able to choose one or more channels, multiple channels concurrently, the best channel for them depending on where they are, the time of day, the consistency across channels. These are all things that are going to have a big impact on customers. Let me give you a specific example. Many companies today have Android or Apple iOS-based applications. So I can download an application from my bank, from my insurance company, from Amazon, you name it. I have hundreds of applications on my device. Very few of those applications are communication enabled, where consumers are literally begging to have those communications enabled. Because if I'm in my banking application, and I do as much possible in my mobile application, but I reach a point where it's very important to communicate with someone. I can't do that through my banking application today. Digital transformation is going to change that so that virtually everything becomes communication enabled in one or more channels. That is such a big impact in the consumer market today. Internally will be the same. Communicating employee to employee, there'll just be an expectation that that's going to be omni-channel, that there's going to be rich context involved in that. But it's not going to have the commercial impact that the customer-facing side is going to have.
And what about the context in the customer-facing?
Now, I give an example all the time of context. Here's what happens today, and here's most likely what's going to happen tomorrow. So let me give you a use case where I'm a customer of a company, and 3 days ago I was on the company's website. 2 days ago I sent the company an email. Yesterday I chatted with someone in the contact center of that company, and now today I'm calling the company. What generally happens before digital transformation is that there's no context. So when I call, the agent answers the call and at best may know who I am. I have to spend the first 10 to 15 minutes of that call explaining how I was on the website, then I sent an email, then I chatted, and now here's the reason for my call. Wouldn't it be very refreshing if when I called, before I could say anything, the agent said, "Mr. Barnett, thank you for calling. I see that you visited our website and were interested in this product. I see that you sent us an email and you chatted with my coworker, Julie. I have all that information in front of me right now. How may I help you?" Such a change in the difference between those two use cases, and what made that possible was context. Having the context of me as a customer is what completely enabled that capability. So context is really important when it comes to that digital transformation.
How long would you think that it will take to the contact centers in America Latina to get to that?
Yeah, that's a great question. What's
level?
interesting is it's not a technology challenge. We're there today with the technology. There are cultural changes that are involved. There's training involved. There's implementation and customization involved. But what's interesting is this is not a technology challenge, right? This is today a challenge of changing the company. So it becomes part of the digital transformation. Now, to your specific point of how long is this going to take, it's really going to depend upon the speed that a company implements and accepts digital transformation. Some, that's happening very quickly. Other companies are lagging behind, or it's going much more slowly. It's also industry dependent. For example, those companies that may be in retail are very customer facing, are tending to adopt to digital transformation much more quickly. Industries like healthcare and maybe more conservative industries aren't making the change quite as quickly, but they are definitely on the journey.
Mm-hmm.